All right, YouTube, this Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit. It's Saturday night, and I know it's been a lot going on in the media this week. A lot been in the algorithm, especially with the debacle going on down in Fulton County with Fannie Willis and her team. But while we were watching that, we still had to remember that the migrant crisis or intruding or whatever they want to call it that's politically correct has still been continuing. So I seen a good video to react that's up to date on the latest with these migrants in this migrant situation. And other than that, it's the same old politics. Y'all been seeing it. We've been showing it. So I'm going to show you this video. It's for fair usage under the 1976 Copyright Act for educational purposes and commentary. Check it out.
Actually, every day we're on city's budget. 150 million is the same number allocated for the entire fiscal year. The city is hoping the state continues to pay. Currently in discussions about how they might be able to apply that, whether Joe, if it feels confusing tracking the spending, the amount of money the city has spent, the state has given, how much the federal government has contributed, that's because it is. The city has been trying to save money where it can, but right now they just can't get those numbers. Tonight, officials warning Chicago is approaching a breaking point. Tents full of desperate migrants lining Chicago's iconic Lakeshore Drive. Migrant shelters inside O'Hare Airport. A total of 17,000 migrants showing up since last August, and officials expect 1,200 per day to keep coming. That doesn't include the cost of city agencies and their work on the migrant mission, like how much it's costing to educate school-aged new arrivals. Of those vendors, though, the Kansas-based company, Favored Healthcare Staffing, continues to be the highest paid, making $126 million since the mission started. The cost paid mostly by the state, the remainder split between the city and federal government.
I don't want them there.
But protests here are growing.
To have the government come in and dump 300 people right next door to me.
We're going to stop there just for a second and interject. That was a lot of money to be changing hands between those corporations and state and government officials. You know what I mean? That was almost as large or larger than what they be trying to offer them. It's almost like you got to pay attention to the money also. Let's continue.
It is not fair.
City leaders were asked once again about their plans to pay for the migrant crisis once the money runs out. New numbers show the city has spent a total of $194.5 million on migrant-related vendors since October of 2022. We met these migrants sleeping outside a police station. Stephanie tells us she boarded a free bus in Texas because she thought Chicago had a refugee camp. Some of us have been here weeks, she said. She told us she's desperate for a job to support her one-year-old son back in Venezuela.
Well, one of the things that I'm frustrated about is the fact that the Biden administration is not handling the migrant crisis in a way that it is good for them or the cities that the migrants are being sent to. I certainly don't want to demonize the migrants because not a lot of what is happening is their fault. I think that our mayor, our governor, as well as President Biden, has to step in and make some changes to what is happening right now.
Community leaders tell us they want to help migrants, but they're worried about resources for poor Chicagoans, too.
I'm concerned because of the slow response by the federal and state government.
And so what is happening here in Chicago is that we are seeing our city spend up to $48 million a month to house and take care of migrants. Now, when you talk about the Black communities here in the city of Chicago, and you talk about the years of disinvestment in our communities, in our schools, and all around us, and you see this amount of money being spent, Right now, it seems as if our borders are just open and that people are freely coming in, and that there are no laws that are being followed in terms of immigration.
Of being involved in this beating of two NYPD officers in Times Square. Remember, 6 suspects were arrested and charged, but only one was held on cash bail. Police sources had told us some of the 5 who were released left New York to head to the California-Mexico border, rather. The Latino Pilsen neighborhood was the first to build a shelter for migrants, and they're now preparing a new shelter to take up to 1,000 more.
Wave of migrant crime has washed over our city. They're essentially ghost criminals. No criminal history, no photos, no cell phone, no social media. Sometimes we're even unclear on a name or a date of birth. And on top of that, these operations are extremely sophisticated. They intentionally try to evade the police.
Democratic Party, we're watching you.
Yeah.
We are disappointed. We are angry.
Yeah.
We are offended. And we feel like we're being mistreated, misused, and disrespected. We will not continue to be disrespected by the Democratic Party. As I said yesterday, and I'll say today and tomorrow, if you're an independent candidate, Green Party candidate, Republican candidate, now is your time in this city.
Who's been in the office since May of last year. Remember, he replaced Lori Lightfoot as mayor of Chicago. He was supposed to go down to the border and see for himself in October, but he canceled and he sent a deputy mayor. Well, he was asked yesterday by another reporter, hey, when are you going to go? And listen to what he had to say to that reporter about why the mayor is not going. He's got a really good reason. Listen.
We're currently, actually every day, we're in meetings, on calls with the state and with the county.
While these 5 individuals are migrants, I want to reiterate the overwhelming number of 170 plus thousand migrant asylum seekers are attempting to continue their next leg of their journey of pursuing the American dream.
Governor Pritzker has said he plans to put a...
You see how he worded that and knew the number, as if he said like the next leg of their journey, like he knows orchestrated how many come. It's not as chaotic as they want you to think. You can listen to their language, how they explain themselves.
About 2,000 beds somewhere, though it's still not clear where that will be or when it'll happen.
Would that be one of the things that we're looking at to help alleviate how much the city is spending? We're currently in discussions about how they might be able to apply that, whether...
Do you understand that you have not had a mayor like me? I get that. I have a wife, I have children, they have schedules. And plus, we still have public safety that we have to address. We still have the unhoused that we have to address. I still have a budget that I have to address. And I'm doing all of that with a black wife raising 3 black children on the west side of the city of Chicago. I am going to the border as soon as possible. But I got to coordinate that with running the government and making sure that my wife and children are secure as well. Thank you, Lord.
I don't know that they...
I know he didn't just get that as a reason to his constituents and all those reporters and in front of people that he can't go down there and do his job because he got a black wife and black kids. I mean, they be trying to throw the race card in on any situation at this point. You know what I mean? He got a wife and kids, so that means he can't do his job. Didn't he have a wife and kid before he applied? I'm sure it was an application.
Can get my vote back. I think that one of the biggest problems with this whole situation is when this started, I called my congressman, I called my step representative, I called my state senator, I called our Cook County commissioner, and I tried to sit down to meet with them. I even called our mayor. And I wanted to sit down and talk to them to find out if there was just something that I was missing, if there was some information that I needed in order to make me sit comfortably with what was happening. And nobody had time to sit down with me. Nobody had time to meet with me to discuss this issue. And so as important as this issue has become to the Black community, and the fact that our mayor, who I know, whom I supported, whom I donated money to his campaign, has not bothered to pick up the phone and to call me and to talk to me about what's happening is a slap in the face for me. And so, no, I cannot support people who will not support me and my community.
In a migrant briefing this week,
to figure out what the long-term plan is to get through the calendar year together.
Democratic Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker slamming President Biden for not doing enough, writing, "The federal government's lack of intervention and coordination at the border has created an untenable situation for Illinois." The White House blaming Congress for not acting and saying they've accelerated work permits and provided $1 billion to cities nationwide. A few days ago, the city amended their contract with Favored Staffing for a second time. Now their contract is for approximately $150 million over the course of 1 year. Notable because in the city's budget, $150 million is the same number allocated for the entire fiscal year. The city is hoping the state continues to pay and the federal government will step in.
New York City police officers last week over by Times Square. Remember this? Well, sources tell Fox News that several of those people in these images have been apprehended, apparently in Phoenix.
Unbelievable. Plus, another group of migrants have been arrested for allegedly dragging a woman down a New York City street as they stole her purse.
Madeline Rivera joins us right now with the latest developments. Update us, won't you?
But the problem still exists, and they're affecting everyone. And they don't have, some of those kids don't have dads in their life to deal with those issues.
Mom's holding down 2 jobs,
Look,
can't afford daycare.
We all have kids. We all have busy schedules.
Yeah.
But if you're going to run for mayor, you got to do the job.
The NYPD separately also arresting 7 migrants in an early morning raid in the Bronx Monday, whom officers say were behind a robbery ring in the city. Investigators say the suspects would ride up behind victims on stolen mopeds, mostly women walking alone, and snatch their phones and purses. The NYPD telling Fox New Yorkers and tourists must stay vigilant. Now it appears, based on what multiple ICE sources are telling us, that at least some of their journeys were cut short, with some suspects being arrested at a Greyhound bus station in Phoenix Monday. Here's New York City Mayor Eric Adams.
Tracking the cost of migrant crashes in Chicago, Chicago officials say spike is expected in migrant arrivals. How will it be paid for? Chicago is grappling with a surge in migrant arrival, with over 13,000 asylum seekers currently housed in city shelters, as officials anticipate a potential spike.
I didn't see this one coming. On this reaction video, they got a migrant speaking about migrants.
In numbers, concerns arise regarding the city's ability to finance the growing migrant mission. The expenditure into cases involving city spending, state contribution, and federal support pose a complex financial challenges. From October 2022 to the present month, the city has spent $194.5 million on migrant-related vendors, with the consensus-based company Favorite Healthcare staffing being the highest paid at $126 million. While the state of Illinois covers a significant portion of the cost, the city and federal government share the remainder. Chicago budget allocated at $150 million for the entire fiscal year. Faces concerns that the amended contract with Favorite staffing now stands at approximately $150 million for 1 year. City officials are engaged in discussion with the state and federal government to explore funding solutions.
Enough of that. She took over the thing to give her commentary, and she was a migrant, couldn't understand what she was talking about. But anyway, while we was watching everything else in the algorithm, you still have to remember what's going on with this migrant situation, what's going on with these other politics, and what's going on in other states affects us because they're busing them from city to city. You know what I mean? And, you know, they could be coming near you. You know what I mean? So stay abreast, keep your head on swivel, like, share, and subscribe. Peace.